Good morning, everyone. Oh, really? Good morning. Hey, oh, there it is. You're like, I don't know this person. Why am I going to say good morning to you? My name is Alex Capitan. I'm so excited to be with you this morning. Thanks so much for coming to church. And I'm ringing a bell. That's what I'm doing. Great. Our opening words this morning come from Reverend Heather Ryan Starr. On this day, as with so many Sundays, we come in from the whirling world, the wind, the bright sun, the push and pull of tides and time, from the tumult of global news and local stories, the pain we hear of, the demands on our spirits, the do this now culture that we live in. We come into this sanctuary from that windstorm, the rush of speeding drivers on the roadways, the rustling silence that fills some of our homes, the vastness of a once busy and perhaps now quieter house. All of this can leave us feeling stirred and unsettled. When we give our attention to what's going on around and beyond us in this throbbing world, we can feel wind blown. We need places where we can come and find our grounding once again. Come in from the wind. Come in from the whirl. May this be a place where we can experience genuine stillness, even if just for a few moments. May this be a place that we can count on as we come through the doors of this building or as we turn on our computers and come seeking our congregational home page. May we feel pulled into a restorative time of energetic peace. May this be a place of learning, of nourishment, a community that generates new zest in us for the dynamic beauty of this world. Come, let us worship together.
Please join me in our chalice lighting words, which will be projected on the screen, both in English and Spanish, and you're welcome to choose the language of your choice. We kindle this flame to remind ourselves of the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. Good morning. My name is Mary Beth McNulty. I use she, her pronouns, and I want to welcome all of you joining us in person and online this morning. What a week. Thankfully, Reverend Karen has sent us some words of wisdom, and Christina has agreed to share them with us now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christina Fulton. I'm the Director of Operations and Finance here at the First UU. And I share these words from Reverend Karen, our senior minister, who is not with us today, but she is with us in spirit. This has been an especially hard week. Let us all recognize that nearly everyone's nervous system is working overtime. Floods came again, bringing damage again. And for those Vermont communities directly impacted, Barnett, Berry City, Plainfield, Burlington's own Intervale, and more, devastation again. We hold in our hearts the families of those two individuals who each died in these floods, Dylan Kempton and John Rice. May their families be embraced by communities of care and comfort. Gratitude to the Swiftwater teams and all first responders and volunteers who showed up and continue to do so. Yes to #VermontStrong. And also, let us make room for the grief, the anger, the overwhelm, the not againness. And then yesterday, an assassination attempt on the former president running for re-election. As the Reverend Elizabeth Stevens, who will be preaching at First UU on September 1st, has described it, this incident is both evidence of the fragility of our democracy and a further stress on it. Let us, each of us individually and all of us as a congregation, find our way to place love at the center in how we respond at this fractured moment. Slow down. Notice the pull towards despair, helplessness, fear, anxiety, numbness, or certainty. Notice this in others. Don't be pulled in. More importantly, notice it in ourselves. Let that noticing be a small pause that reminds us we do not have to react immediately, but can slow down just a bit, choosing our response. We can invite that pull, the fear, the anxiety, the certainty, to sit beside us, not reside within us. We can remind ourselves by using our own thumb and four fingers to hold up a hand and say, "We are here now." We recognize the bystander who lost their life in this act of political violence, as well as the two people who were critically injured, none of whose names have been yet released. We hold them and their families in our hearts, praying comfort and care. We pray for their ability to process what has happened to their loved one without being made into a spectacle or used for political purposes. We pray for the former president's recovery, as well as for the hope that this assassination attempt is not used to further strengthen authoritarian forces that too often seek to use such events to seize power or incite violence. Friends, let us seek safety in connection with our deepest, truest selves, connection with each other, connection with our neighbors, connection in service of community. In the words of the Reverend Allie K.C. Bell, let us pause, assess, and remember who we are in this moment. We are a loving, justice-seeking people who believe in liberation for all. May you find your center in the face of uncertainty and fear. Love is at the center.
May I be filled with love and kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with love and kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Reverend Karen, and thank you, Karen, for singing us. We are here now. Is there anyone in the sanctuary today for the first or second time? Oh, welcome. If you haven't already, after the service, you can check in with today's welcome ambassadors, Susan Warner-Mills and Raya Lele. Can you give us a wave? There they are. And I would like to tell you, you have picked an amazing Sunday to join us, and our pulpit this morning is Zister Alex Capitan. Alex is a lay community minister, educator, editor, consultant, and activist. A trans and queer lifelong Unitarian Universalist, Alex does interfaith LGBTQ work and supports congregations in becoming places of radical welcome for all. Z is the co-founder of the Transforming Hearts Collective, the co-leader of the program Trans Inclusion in Congregations, and the founder of Radical Copy Editor, an anti-oppressive language project. Everyone is invited to join the coffee hour outside after the service. It's a great time to meet new friends and learn more about the many things going on here at First UU, and hopefully we can all catch a breeze. Friends, whatever it took for you to make it here this morning, you are welcome, just as you are.
Please rise as you are able, in body and in spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 131 in the Gray Hymnal, Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Please be seated.
Spiritual practices come in many forms within our Sunday service: generosity, spoken meditation, stillness, music. As a justice-seeking spiritual community, our generosity practice includes sharing half the offering each Sunday. Offerings this month will be shared with the FUUSB Music Sheet Fund. In anticipation of our next musical chapter, this month's generosity will make more robust the fund that covers the cost of new sheet music for our choir and other music programming. Since there's no annual budget line item for this expense, now is a good time to replenish this long existing fund as a way for the congregation to welcome our next director of music. Come now into the place of peace and holy listening. Let us hear these words of joy, sorrow, and gratitude. Cheryl Herrick shares a joy to invite those who know and appreciate Ginger Hobbs to a Celebrate Ginger potluck brunch party at 12 p.m. on Sunday, July 21st at Burlington Co-Housing on East Avenue. Sorrow for the communities hit by this week's flood, and for 2 former students who are now without a place to live. Gratitude for all those who give what they are able to help with the rebuilding efforts. The Titchener-Lawson family shares the joy of pet-sitting 6 baby chicks this week. Premature hatchling Little Red is getting stronger every day. It's been a delight to see how quickly they are all growing and to wake up each morning to a chorus of cheerful little chirps. May we hold these words of our community in a spirit of love, reminding us of our shared humanity. As we enter this moment of stillness, let us hold that which has been spoken and that which remains unspoken gently in our hearts. When the music plays soon, you're invited to come forward to silently mark a joy, a sorrow, or gratitude by moving a stone from the basket to the table. Also, if in coming forward anyone has a gift to add to the offering, you can place it in the basket here or there, or you can make your offering online. If you're at home or want to remain seated here, we invite you to lean into the music as an opportunity for stillness and centering, as it makes sense for you. Please join me in these words of our offering dedication. With gratitude, we dedicate these gifts in the service of our mission to inspire spiritual growth, care for each other and our community, seek truth, and act for justice. Our reading this morning was authored by Alex and is entitled The Spiritual Importance of Words. Melinda Lee has graciously offered to join me. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel often wrote that words are themselves sacred, God's tool for creating the universe and our tools for bringing holiness or evil into the world. He used to say that the Holocaust did not begin with the building of a crematoria, and Hitler did not come to power with tanks and guns. It all began with uttering evil words, with defamation, with language and propaganda. Words create worlds, he used to say. They must be used very carefully. Some words, once having been uttered, gain eternity and can never be withdrawn. The book of Proverbs reminds us, he wrote, that death and life are in the power of the tongue.
Right speech is a Buddhist term for loving speech, or speech that is nourishing, peaceful, compassionate, and understanding. In the Buddhist tradition, right speech is so important that it is one of the 5 precepts for ethical conduct, one of the components of the Noble Eightfold Path, and 4 out of 10 Bodhisattva trainings address guidelines for loving communication. Thich Nhat Hanh taught that no communication is ever neutral. Each one has the potential to nourish, ease suffering and create peace, or to poison, increase suffering and create violence. Compassion, he proposed, is the key to both deep listening and right speech, and the goal of compassionate communication is to help others suffer less.
Islam holds that words are extremely potent. The Quran instructs believers to be truthful in their speech, to avoid telling lies, and to consider carefully the consequences of their words. The first verses to be revealed to Prophet Muhammad declared the power of the divine world, and it is believed that Islam grows due to the power of the word of Allah, touching the hearts and minds of those seeking enlightenment. Irshad Gamiet taught, never be careless about words. Words are vital instruments. Words can wound, humiliate, and inflict pain far greater than physical violence. But just as potent as they are as weapons, words can also heal wounds and make peace. Indeed, well-chosen words have a power and a beauty that can project well beyond one lifetime.
In many indigenous cultures, words are understood as entities that carry great power, so they must be chosen and used with utmost care. Speaking loving words in loving ways promotes harmonious relationships, and it is important to the health of individuals and communities. Speaking negative, violent words can cause disharmony and is considered dangerous to all of life. Lana Whiskeyjack of the Nehiyawak or Cree people says, I remember the old one's beautiful teachings. Language is spirit, and our words are medicine. The spirit of the language is love, and language is our connection to the land and the cosmos. Consider your own communication carefully. Do you express each word, phoneme, or nonverbal expression with love in relationality? Each sound is alive with its own spirit.
Thank you so much for those words, Mary Beth and Melinda. Words have so much power. Religious and spiritual and ethical traditions around the world teach, often as a central teaching, that using words with care is paramount to living in a way that is aligned with our values, a way that is aligned with life itself. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me, says the old idiom. What a profound lie that is, yes? This lie has been told to children for generations, telling them their internal experience is wrong, that they shouldn't be hurt by words. We know words matter. We know they have the power to deeply wound. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can crush my soul. Broken bones can heal without psychological scarring, but words can convince me that I'm worthless, that I don't belong, that I'm broken or a burden or shouldn't exist. Rabbi Heschel preached the truth that the Holocaust began not with crematoria, but with words. We humans are storytellers. We create meaning through stories, and we create stories through language. Our brains are wired to look for difference and sameness, who is like me and who is not like me. But words are what teach us what meaning to ascribe to those differences. Is like me inherently good, better, right? Is not like me inherently suspect, lesser, wrong? Dehumanization, the psychological process that conditions us to perceive particular people as undeserving of basic human rights, is rooted in language, inflammatory words, and propaganda. The stories we hear and tell shape how we perceive each other's worth and dignity. Taken to the furthest extreme, dehumanization leads to genocide. But it starts with words. Words that condition us to look the other way when people who are described in less than human ways suffer, or worse, to perpetuate injustice ourselves. Liberation can also be considered in part a psychological process rooted in language and stories. Grace Lee Boggs taught that visionary organizing begins by creating the images and stories of the future that help us imagine and create alternatives to the existing system. Bell Hooks taught that what we cannot imagine cannot come into being. Language can be used to divide and to destroy life, but it can just as easily be used to unite and nourish life. Words can free our minds from oppressive ways of being and open us to life-giving possibilities, help us imagine and work toward a different, better world. I have a particular affinity for words because one of the hats I wear in the world is that I'm an editor. Before I started doing ministry, I was a copy editor. Anybody else a word nerd here? Oh, look, I'm not alone. What a surprise. I actually worked at our Beacon Press back in the day and did editing for them, among other things. And these days, in addition to preaching and helping congregations practice radical welcome, I also do what I call my word nerd ministry. I help people understand the power of words. And I also work to help people move from a mindset of correctness to a mindset of care when it comes to language. You see, even if you're on board with the idea that language has power and the truth that words can be dehumanizing or liberating, most of us have taught to think of language as correct or incorrect, whether we're talking about grammar, definitions, or what term to use to describe a particular group of people. But I strongly believe that a faithful, spiritual, ethical approach to language requires care, not correctness. Now, a lot of people find it surprising that a copy editor would argue against correctness. Isn't copy editing literally about correcting things like grammar, spelling, and the like? A lot of people think so, but I see it differently. In the words of author Danielle Jose Older, the function of language is to communicate things clearly. The function of grammar and rules around language are to facilitate that communication. Language rules aren't about correctness to me. They are about facilitating communication, helping as many people as possible understand what is being communicated, which is really important in a language like English because, if we're honest, English is a bit of a mess, right? Not only is it a hodgepodge of spellings and norms, but it's spoken by 1.5 billion people around the world. There can't possibly be one universally correct way to spell or pronounce or string words together. Because depending on where you live, you might say, "G'day, mate," or "All right, love," or "How's it going, pal?" or "What do ya buy?" Which of these is correct? None of them, right? Because it depends on context. And it's not just about where you live, it's also about all sorts of other things. If I'm editing a cookbook, or a novel, or a zine, or a restaurant menu, or a textbook, I'm going to apply different standards, different rules. Some of you are with me, but a lot of you are going, "Okay, sure, but correctness still matters. Without rules, there'd be chaos." I see you, I know. But I'm here to tell you that if you think in terms of correctness, you will unconsciously or consciously think in terms of right and wrong, good and bad. And that is a slippery slope to believing those who use right, good, correct words are right, good, correct people. And those who use wrong, bad, incorrect words are wrong, bad, incorrect people. If, on the other hand, you think in terms of care, that's an invitation to consider things like what makes the most sense in this context? What rules apply in this context? How can I facilitate communication across lines of difference in this context? It's an invitation to embrace the truth that no word has a single correct meaning or use for all people, regions, cultures. Even things like capitalization and punctuation follow different norms in different contexts. Correctness invites rigidity and closed-mindedness. Care invites curiosity and open-mindedness. Now, I'd have to preach a whole other sermon to really get into the details of how standard English was constructed and continues to be constructed to uplift the way that people with the most power, status, wealth, and education speak and write, and how many of the rules of standard English are helpful in terms of facilitating communication, but many other rules serve no purpose other than separating those who've been trained in standard English from those who haven't, and in the process diminishing, demeaning, or disregarding the latter. I don't have time to go into that fully today, but it's important to be aware of what we have internalized as correct and attend to the impacts of all of that on how we live and how we treat others. As Irshad Gamiet told us, words are instruments. They aren't inherently correct or incorrect, right or wrong. They are simply tools. Every tool is a weapon if you hold it right, sings Ani DeFranco. What matters is how the word is used. Even words that are treated as completely taboo, like the N-word or curse words, have their place, their appropriate context. All right, I want to try something a little different here. I want to ask you personally to reflect on what a couple of different words mean to you, the knee-jerk associations you have with a few words. Are you game? Okay, a couple of you, all right. Okay, it's a game, okay? We're gonna play a game. Okay, I'm gonna say a word, and my invitation is to feel into what this word brings up for you, the emotional flavor of this word for you, what it means, what it brings up for you, and then let's sit together in quiet reflection for just a few seconds, okay? You ready for the first word? Okay, the first word is water. What does the word water mean to you? What does it remind you of? What does it bring up for you? How does this word make you feel? Let's reflect in silence. Thank you. The dictionary definition of water is, in part, A liquid oxide of hydrogen H2O, which freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, boils at 100 degrees Celsius, has a maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius, is feebly ionized to hydrogen and hydroxyl ions, and is a poor conductor of electricity and a good solvent. Right? Just what I was thinking, yeah. How many of you thought of that definition when I asked you to reflect on the word water? Right? How likely is it that if we went around this room, everyone would say the exact same thing, right? Have the same associations with this word. Some of you might have thought of drinking water, or the ocean, or rain. Some of you might have thought of spiritual rituals that involve water. Some of you might have thought about how cool it is that water can be a liquid, or a solid, or a gas. Nerds. Lovingly. Some of you, probably many of you, might have thought of natural disasters, particularly this week, right? Or perhaps Standing Rock, or perhaps Flint, Michigan. Some of you might love water, and some of you might fear it. It's almost like the context of our lives informs our knee-jerk associations with this word. Okay, next word. You ready? You're like, okay, getting into this. Our next word is queer. Q-U-E-E-R, queer. What does the word queer mean to you, remind you of, bring up for you? How does this word make you feel? Let's reflect. This one's trickier, yeah? To some people, the word queer is violent. It's a dehumanizing word, and to others, it's empowering. It's a liberating word. I happen to use this word to describe both my gender and my sexuality. There is no other word that works for me. It means something very specific and very fantastic to me. I know other people who find this word deeply wounding and would prefer to never see it or hear it. I honor that truth. Neither truth is wrong. Both are valid. If our orientation to language is grounded in being correct, this doesn't work, right? It doesn't work for us to have conflicting understandings of this word or any word. Someone has to be right and someone has to be wrong. But if we're grounded in care, we can get curious about why these differences exist and respect each other's truths. I can practice care in not calling someone queer if doing so feels violent to them, and they can practice care by calling me queer because I need that in order to feel understood and affirmed. Okay, last word. You ready? Okay, nobody's ready, okay. Are you ready? Okay, so that's great. Last word, God. How many of you saw that one coming? Yeah. What are your associations with the word God? What does this word mean to you? Let's reflect. My friends, I believe it is vitally important. I believe it is, in fact, central to our Unitarian Universalist faith to affirm that multiple conflicting truths can be true at once, that there is no one correct definition of a word, any more than there is one correct set of beliefs about that which is greater than ourselves or what happens after death. If we can affirm, which I deeply hope we can, that the word water can bring up different things to different people based on their life experience, and the word queer has multiple conflicting definitions, all of which are true, then we can affirm that words like God and church and prayer can feel both deeply connecting and deeply off-putting at the same time to different people, and that none of these people is wrong. Can we affirm this? Can we open ourselves to the truth that the dictionary definition of a word isn't all there is to it? that searching for or arguing about the most correct way to use words does not serve us as Unitarian Universalists. I really need us to affirm this, because I have been profoundly disheartened by the rigidity and judgment I have experienced in UU spaces when it comes to words. I was raised in a UU church where there was a strong aversion to the word God. I have personally known UUs and heard of many others who counted the number of times the word God was used in worship services in order to complain about it to their minister. When I was working at the UUA's headquarters 10 years ago, there was a congregation in which a gay man put forth a resolution to ban the word queer in his church. This intolerance for particular words is rooted in correctness. My definition of this word is the correct one, the only one, and if I dislike it, it must be a wrong word. If that word means something entirely different to someone else, something beautiful and profound, I'll never know. I'll never have the chance to expand my mind, my heart, or my world. I'll never be able to be in real relationship with people who have different definitions of this word. And the rigidity and intolerance of my fellow UUs isn't just limited to definitions of words. It also extends to grammar norms. I can't tell you the number of non-binary people like me who have been subjected to the argument, well, I can't respect your pronouns because of grammar. They and them are plural words, not singular, end of story. Do you have any idea what it's like to be told, I will only accept you and respect you if you use words correctly according to what I was taught in school? Too many of us do know what that feels like, whether we're non-binary, or don't speak English as a first language, or use a stigmatized dialect or slang or accent, or just follow different punctuation norms in text messages than we do in academic papers. How is it aligned with our UU faith to only accept and respect others if they use words correctly according to standards that are overwhelmingly white, upper class, and at an educational level held by only a fraction of the population? It's not. It's not aligned with our UU faith. Correctness does not serve us as people of faith and conscience. It hinders us. It turns out there are a lot of things we were taught in school that are flat out wrong, right? As Unitarian Universalists, we are not meant to hold fast to dogmatic rules. We are meant to grow, to unlearn together the things that block us from being in true right relationship with each other and with all of life. Words create worlds. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Every communication has the potential to nourish, ease suffering, and create peace, or to poison, increase suffering, and create violence. Words are vital instruments. Language is spirit, and our words are medicine. My friends, putting love at the center of how we use words is actually pretty darn difficult. It's a spiritual practice. We won't get there by holding fast to being correct. We can only get there by letting care be our guiding star. So, as you go forth from here today, consider how to bring more care and less correctness into your approach to language. Free yourself from rigid, intolerant, judgmental approaches to words. Open yourself to curiosity about what words mean to others and the impacts of language on, and particularly language rules and norms on others. Affirm that people matter more than punctuation. Respect matters more than subject-verb agreement. Relationship matters more than your definition being the right definition. I promise you that this practice will open you to so much possibility and beauty, so many different ways of being, and ultimately, a deeper experience of Unitarian Universalism and of life itself. Amen. Ashe. Aho. And blessed be.
Please rise as you are able and join me in singing hymn number 1031 in the teal hymnal, Filled with Loving Kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with the world until we are together again. How you doing? All right, still here, right? Yeah, I love that. My own absolutely favorite words about words were spoken by the late, great Toni Morrison during the incredible lecture she gave upon receiving the 1993 Nobel Prize in Literature. She said, "We die. That may be the meaning of life, but we do language. That may be the measure of our lives." As you leave this space and go back out into this whirling world, my greatest hope is that you will leave inspired to do language. Do it with curiosity. Do it with joy. Do it in ways that help create the world you want to live in. Most of all, do it with care. Go in peace.